So I was just gonna get on here and, just kind of tell you guys the story of how I met my biological family and where I'm at now and how everything happened. So yeah, before I start, I just want to say that everything that I'm saying is my truth and they're my feelings, but like, this isn't intended to hurt anyone's feelings, but this is just my truth. So I guess I'll start like giving you guys like a little background information. So when I was a newborn, I was left outside a doctor's office on a doorstep. And so someone called into the police and they told them that there was a baby laying out there, like EMT came, everything. They took me to the hospital. At the hospital is where a nurse was working. And so like the nurse's boss told her like, hey, like you need to adopt this baby. And the nurse was just sort of like, what am I gonna do with a baby? Like, I work night shift. She was single, she was divorced. And so she actually ended up adopting me after she talked to her pastor, who's now my godfather, my uncle. So yeah, like after she had that talk, like the nurse that was working there that night in the nursery ended up adopting me. And so that's my mom. Her name is Sarah. So that's just sort of like the background of how everything happened. And so yeah, so from like my childhood up until like, early adulthood, I always wondered like, who's my mom? Like, where did I come from? Who do I look like? So one day in college, I got really curious.
Something ain't right. Something ain't right. And damn it, it's time that we find out.
And I decided to do an ancestry, like a DNA test. And I think this was in July of 2017 when I did that test. I think I have a video. If I have a video, like, I'll insert that now. So yeah, like took the test and I matched with, my closest match was a second cousin.
I don't like that.
Like, she really wasn't any help. She didn't live around the area that I grew up in, so like she really couldn't help me that much. So I was disappointed, and I just sort of let it go for a while.
I'm also
And so I graduated college in 2018. I moved to Georgia for graduate school, and I sort of started getting curious again. So it was my second year of graduate school when I moved from Georgia to Nashville, Tennessee to complete an internship and an externship. And so the first semester of my second year of grad school, I joined a Facebook page and it was called DNA Detectives. And so like they try to find people's biological family and everything. But they also had another page and it was for foundlings. And if you don't know, foundlings are children, well, babies who are like left laying somewhere and then somebody finds them, hence foundling. So I joined the DNA Detective and the Foundlings group, and there was a lady from the Foundlings group who reached out to me and told me that she wanted to help me find my family. She ended up not being able to help me because I don't know, something about her daughter just had a baby and like she needed to help her daughter. So she hooked me up with another lady who helped me find my biological family. And I'll link her info in this video. So anyway, I'm going back and forth with my DNA search angel, which is what they're called, DNA search angel. And we're just trying to gather information and everything. Like, where are you from? Where are you born? And like I give her the access to like my ancestry DNA, and we run it through some more sites that are like DNA sites. And so it was about one day. Well, yeah, it may have been like a little bit over 24 hours. And she messaged me and she said, she told me she was almost certain that she found a set of my grandparents. And I was like, girl, like, you're lying. Like, I didn't believe it. So she sent me the lady's name and a picture, and I looked at her and I was like, I don't really look like her. Like, I didn't see the resemblance. So then I went and looked at my alleged grandmother's Facebook page, and I saw a few of her children. I was able to like do some snooping, Facebook stalking, and I found like her children's pages. And she had a daughter, and when I looked at the daughter's page, I was like I look like this lady. But you know, we weren't sure. Like, my DNA search angel sort of thought that the lady who I thought I looked like thought that her brother was my father. So this was all happening in November of 2019. So yeah, like, I tried to reach out to like the people who we thought, you know, were my biological family, and I was just like, ugh, like I don't know if I can, you know, keep trying to reach out or anything. Like, I was just so nervous, and like I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want them to think I was crazy. So I actually called one of my high school friends who I was on the dance team with, and I was like, girl, like, I need help. Like, I think you're related to these people. I need you to help me figure some of this stuff out. And she was giving me a rundown of like the family members and everything. So I'm really grateful for that. Her name's Jello. Thank you, Jello girl. And so yeah, so like all that happened in November, and I just sort of like let it go after that. But the woman who I thought I looked a lot like, I sent her a friend request and she accepted it. So we were friends for like months, and fast forward to, well, actually, like, during those months I would go to her Facebook page like all the time, and I would just like look at her like, oh my gosh, I look like this woman. Like, I think this is my mom. So anyway, fast forward to July of 2020. I had actually had a friend come stay with me for a little bit, and I just like, I showed him some pictures, and I was telling him, you know, like, I think this is my mom. And we just had like a brief conversation about like reaching out to her and everything. And then like a few weeks later in July of 2020, like, I was at my dentist, and Cheryl, shout out to you, Cheryl. We had like a little lengthy talk about, you know, my story, and I showed her pictures of like me and the lady who I thought was my mom, and she like sort of encouraged me to reach out. So it was I think it was either the next day, it may have been like July 30th. I think it was July 30th that I sent the lady who I thought I looked like, I sent her a Facebook message, and I said this. I'll put the message in here. So this is what I said. And so after I sent that message, like, I didn't hear back from her immediately, but I did hear back from her like, I don't know if it was a day or 2 days later. So anyway, when I heard back from her, she sent me this message. And so I'm looking at the message like, should I call? Like, what should I do? And so I decided to call her. And I think I called her on I want to say it was a Saturday night that I called her. And so I called her and I was like, hey, you know, like, I'm looking for my biological family, my DNA search angel. She thinks that you and I are related. And so she's like, we are. And I'm like, would you mind telling me how we're related? And she was like, I'm your mom.
Fab Five, your thoughts?
What? What? Who?
Y'all, like, I literally felt like I can't even explain the feeling, but imagine not knowing like anything about yourself for 24 years. And you get on the phone with someone and they say, I'm your mom. It was just like an unreal feeling. Like, I'm not even gonna try to explain how I felt because there's no way to explain that. A genealogist, and she thinks that you and I are related. And she said, we are. And I said, well, do you mind telling me like how we're related? She said, I'm your mom. Bitch, I'm your mom. So anyway, it was a short conversation. And like we set up a time to meet the next day. I'm meeting my biological mom tomorrow after 24 years. I can't believe it. So we met at Centennial Park. It's in Nashville. The strangest thing about this is that I moved to Nashville to finish graduate school, and I found out that my biological mom works in Nashville. She lives in Murfreesboro, which is like right down the highway. Insane. I'm like, something must have been telling me, like, I always wanted to live in Nashville. Like, something must have been telling me, like, girl, like, go there, like, for this reason. Anyway, back to the story. I was too nervous to like go there by myself, so I called my cousin who lives in Murfreesboro too, and I was like, hey girl, like, can you come with me to Nashville? Like, can you come with me to Centennial? Like, I'm about to meet my mom. So she was like, yeah. So she agreed to come. And so like the day, it was like an hour before I was about to go meet Angela, like I called my adoptive mom and I just started crying.
I can't. Get out. Oh my God.
Because, you know, I was so nervous and I was so anxious. I just couldn't believe what was happening. Like, I called her and started crying, and she was like, it's gonna be okay. Call me if you need me, like, type of thing. So anyway, I found the courage to like get in my car and drive to the park. And so I get there and I see Angela get out of her car and go sit like on a park bench, or like a sitting area in the park. So I see her and I'm looking out my window and I'm like, like I was so nervous. I was like, I can't get out. Like, I can't do this. So I called my cousin who came with me and I was just like, I'm so nervous. Like, I don't know if I can walk over there. She's like, just walk over there. So I walked around the park for like 5 or 10 minutes. Like, I just couldn't walk up to her. Anyway, like, I finally like started walking over there and I walked up to her and like the first thing I said to her, I was like, Miss Angela, like, I wasn't sure, like, just want to be sure. And then I asked her, I was like, how are you, or something like that. I don't know. I'm about to insert the clip. Hi, how are you? I'm okay. Oh my God. How you doing? I'm good, how are you? Good. I look like wow. This is crazy.
It is.
It's been such a long time.
It is.
I'm sorry. I'm like trying not to cry, like trying to keep it together. So yeah, that was like our first time meeting each other, and like one of the first things I said to her, I was like, I look so much like you. And like when you're adopted, you grow up in like a family, like you don't look like anyone. So seeing someone that you look like is just like, it's almost freaky. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, it's so strange, like seeing yourself in another person. It's just bizarre. So anyway, like, we met, we talked for a very long time, and this is when I found out that I had like 2 older sisters on her side. She told me about like my uncles, my grandparents, and I asked her, you know, I was like, do we have any like medical things going on in our family, like those type of questions. And I asked her, like, you know, like, can you tell me like the circumstances surrounding me? And so she told me who my biological father was, which my DNA angel had sort of already figured that out, but that just confirmed it. So she told me who my biological father was, and she told me like she gave birth to me at her house by herself, and that she drove from Selmer, Tennessee to Corinth, Mississippi, and left me laying outside, and then she drove away and she called like the police from a payphone. She told me like she fed me before she, you know, left me and everything. So like, I think one of the hardest things to hear about that conversation was finding out that I had 2 older sisters, because I was just sort of like, well, why me? You know, like, why did you keep them and like not keep me? So, I mean, that kind of sucked. Yeah, so we had our conversation, and she apologized, you know, for like the turmoil that everything caused in my life and everything. And yeah, so I left from meeting her, and at this point I was just like, I need a drink. So me and my cousin Miesha went to like a Mexican tequila bar, and like we just drank. So yeah, then it was that same night, I sent my dad a message on Facebook, my biological dad a message on Facebook. And it was insane because he shares a Facebook with his wife.
Oh shit.
So I don't know if you guys have like seen, you know, like some couples, they share a Facebook page. So I was like, I sent him a message, you know, sort of like, this is about to come as a huge surprise to you. I'm just gonna put the message in here. So I sent the message, and like I didn't hear back for like just a little bit, so I went back to check the page and I was blocked. I was blocked from the page. I was like, oh, like, what's going on? But after a little while, like, I ended up getting a message back, and you know, he was just like, I'll put the message in here. And so that's what he said. And so I decided to drive to my hometown, Corinth, going to meet my dad today. And I met him at the city park in Corinth, and this is the video of us meeting. I'm about to go meet my dad, y'all. That was when I met him, and like right before I met him, I brought my mom with me. Like my adoptive mom was with me, and like we saw him get out the car and like walk to a bench, and I was like, he looks way too young. Like, that's not my dad. He looks way too young. And I was also like really nervous, sort of like meeting my biological mom. Like I was almost like stuck, like frozen. Like I didn't want to get out of the car. It's hard. So like, yeah, I walked up to him, and we talked for about an hour. He told me that, you know, I had 2 younger sisters on his side, and then I had an older brother. And so I asked him, I was like, you know, oh, like, wait, hold on. While we were talking, like, he showed me his tattoos, and he was like, I have my kids on here. He was like, I'll have to get you now. And one of the things that I remember about that conversation was when we first started talking, he said something about how he had 3 kids, and then he was like, well, I have 4 now. And this was before he even knew, like, if I was his child or anything. And I was just like, oh my God. So anyway, fast forward, like at the end of the conversation, I was like, will you do a DNA test with me, just for like my peace of mind, because like it was a lot of stuff going on like in this first week. Like I had another lady call me, and she was telling me, like, you know, she thought that her ex-husband was my dad.
It was all a lie. Guys, it was all a lie.
And then like someone in my family texted me, and they were like, I think your biological mom is lying to you. That's not your dad. So
I'm disgusted with it. I'm so disgusted. I'm so damn disgusted. I'm just disgusted. Oh, I'm just trying to be cool.
know what was going on, but just to be sure, I asked him to do a DNA test with me, and me and my best friend Kadena drove to Memphis and got the DNA test, came back, took it. I took it with him, like in the car, and before we left the park, he said, I hope you are mine. And so I held it in, and like we took some pictures, and then I got in my car with my adoptive mom, Sarah, and I just broke down crying. Just because I guess for the first time I felt wanted and not, you know, like not just like somebody's trash that they could discard. So, you know, I'm growing up thinking that my biological parents didn't want me. And so just to hear him say that was such relief. And, you know, like he didn't even know anything about me. Like, you know, he didn't know he had another child just out here living.
What the hell is going on? I have no idea.
Until I reached out to him. Like, he was never told or anything. So anyway, that was that. Me and my mom, after we met him, like we went to go get lunch. My adoptive mom, me and her went to go get lunch, and this was like the end of the first week with me meeting like my mom and my dad. I was just sort of talking about everything, and like literally I just broke down. I just broke down in the middle of the restaurant. Like I was just so overwhelmed. It was a very hard week. I forgot to say that the first week, the day after I met my mom, was the day that I met my older sister on my mom's side. Her name's Courtney. So I met her the day after I met my biological mom. And she called me. She called me in the morning and said, I don't even remember what our conversation was. Like I was just so like out of it, like in a trance, didn't feel like anything was real. So she called me and we met at Centennial Park too, and she brought her boys, which are my nephews. And so she pulled up and we got out the car and like we hugged each other and she just cried. I think I would have cried too had I just not been like so numb and just out of it that day. So I met her, like we talked for a long time too. Like I got to meet my nephews, they're adorable. So yeah, like, and then later that week when I met my biological father, I also met my maternal grandmother. So I met my maternal grandmother at my best friend Kadena's grandmother's house. So my best friend's grandmother and my biological grandmother are friends. Not only friends, they're both cousins, like they're both Kirks. So I also found out that me and my best friend of all these years, since like junior high, are cousins because both of our grandmothers are Kirks. So that was another insane thing. Yeah, so like I just remember like I got in the car with my best friend and I was like, can you come with me? Like I was just so stressed at this point. And so I was just talking to her about everything that had been going on. Like I broke down crying in her car. Like it was a lot, y'all. Like I don't think y'all understand. Like this was some heavy hitting shit right here. So anyway, yeah, like we went to go meet my biological grandmother. That went well. I'll put that video in here.
It is so great to meet you.
So great to meet you. I'm about to cry.
Well, it'll be okay. We can cry if we want to.
Yeah.
Let me go get these pictures I brought.
My biological maternal grandmother. Later on in August, I had a Zoom call and I met my oldest sister on my mom's side, Candace. She was pregnant. She was about to have a baby at this point. So I'm pretty sure like this was the last thing she needed. But she was so like, she's so kind. She's so sweet. Oh, so I met my paternal side. They drove up here one weekend. It was my paternal grandfather, my paternal sister, and my father's wife. So they drove up here to Nashville one day and we had breakfast together and it was just nice to get to know them. And so this was a picture from when that happened. One of the things that I was really worried about was how my father's wife was going to take everything. But, you know, it was a little bit after, it was the same day I met my father. It was a little bit after that. She gave me a call and, you know, she told me like she was cool with everything. And that was like a relief off my shoulders. And like even today, like, you know, she'll text me a check up on me. Like she'll tell me that she loves me. So shout out to you, Rolanda. Like you're the best. My sister Alana, like she's amazing. She's gorgeous. This is my sister Alana. Yeah, drop dead gorgeous. And I also have another sister, Haley, beautiful, and I have an older brother, Tyler. And so here's a picture I have with them. I also met my older brother's wife, my sister-in-law Tiffany, and their children. Beautiful family. So this is a picture I have with them. I have met a lot of family, and what I have realized is I have a huge family on my maternal and paternal side, and there are just so many people to meet, y'all. But I am happy to have found everyone. So as of today, today is like the December 26, 2020. I'm happy. I'm genuinely happy that I met everyone. But I think that people think of reunions as happy stories, but they don't see the grief that comes with reunions, and they don't see the anger that comes with reunions. And I know you may be thinking like, what is she talking about? Like she should be grateful. You know, she had a great mom. She grew up with a great mom, like privileges. But no matter like what family you end up with, it's just always it's not quite the same, because even though you're with your adopted family and they love on you and they treat you right, is you always feel like you don't belong. And you feel like you don't belong because you're not like anyone. You feel like you don't belong because you don't. And what I mean by that is, okay, an alligator wouldn't raise a chicken. They're nothing alike. And so what I've struggled with is always having those feelings of I don't belong growing up. and even into adulthood, and then you meet your biological family and you still don't belong. You guys are connected by blood, but you don't belong because they're strangers to you and you're strangers to them. So you don't belong anywhere, is the feeling. People don't understand is that so yeah. And what people don't understand about reunions is that it's not all roses. It's actually a lot of emotions. And like right now, like I told myself I wasn't gonna cry making this video, but people don't understand that as far as like grief, people don't understand the grief because they're not in the situation. And so one reason you grieve is because you're not understood. People can't understand simple things, well, or complicated things. Like, you know, if you're broke, people may say, oh, I've been there before, I understand. Or if you're having a bad day or if someone died, people, you know, they can understand because they've been there before. But when you try to talk to people and, you know, you say, I'm feeling this way because my biological mom left me laying outside and there were so many questions around who I am, why she did that, why she didn't want me growing up, it's harder for people to understand because if we're being honest, most people haven't been there. And so it's grief for not being understood, trying to talk to people and they just don't understand. And one of the main, I'm not gonna cry, but one of the main things that you grieve for is something that you never even had. And so what I mean by that is you grieve because it's not like you can go back to your 16th birthday and share those memories with your biological family. You can't go back to your baptism. You can't go back to your dance recitals, your competitions, your piano recitals. They can't see you take your first steps or say your first word. All that, you grieve for like what's not there. You grieve for like the bond that, you know, like you'll never have with them. So you grieve what never was and what will never be. And then the anger is for what you could have had. So for example, the more I get to know my siblings, or the more I get to know my biological father, I get angry because I realize like these are amazing people. I was robbed of these bonds with them, and it just makes you angry, and it almost makes you feel a rage inside because you feel robbed. You really do. And this is just me being honest about how I really feel. And you feel anger because you try to like piece things together, like, oh, maybe this is why this happened to me, and you can't. And then when you get angry, like I can't tell you how many times like I've just cried in my apartment, like by myself, just thinking about everything, and just not having anyone that, you know, understands. Or it's not all sunshine and roses. Like, even though I am happy to know my biological family, it's not I don't know. I'm gonna have to stop talking, but yeah. So anyway, like, that's where I am now with everything. Um, I still haven't, I still have one more sibling to meet. I haven't got to meet her yet, but hopefully we'll get to meet sometime in the future. Um, but yeah, you know, that's pretty much the story right now. And